Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In today's update, we're going to be talking about a cold blast coming by the middle of the month that is going to be increasing our severe weather chances as well as our snow chances. So before I do get started, if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel and definitely share with your friends on social media. All right, so let's get started. So let's start off with the overall teleconnections, and this will kind of basically tell you the big story on what's happening. Let's first of all zoom in into the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, and you can see it's been predominantly positive for the majority of the month, but by mid-month it's going to go sharply negative, sending some cold intrusions into the United States. And you can see it remains negative for a good part of about a week, but we'll also turn our attention to the Arctic Oscillation. So yes, we are going to get some cold intrusions, but it's not going to be of Arctic origin, because this is going to be remaining fairly positive, and it has been positive for the majority of winter. But now that we're getting into March, by this being positive, it's going to keep the jet stream fairly active and fast on the west-east flow, which basically means it's going to elevate the mid-latitude jet. So as we tap into some of that colder air, it's going to mix into the warmer air and can create that lift and that spin in the atmosphere, which would only increase severe weather. So now let's take a look at the Western Pacific Oscillation, and you can kind of see the same thing. It's been predominantly positive, but by the middle of the month, it goes negative, if not sharply negative, for a good chunk of a week and a half. And that basically implies the colder air is going to be intruding in from the northwest. And you can put it's pretty evident from the PNA also, the Pacific North Atlantic Oscillation, as well as remains negative. So this cold surge is going to come from the northwest. So as we take a look at the overall bigger picture, we talked about, if we were looking at my last video, we talked about a massive storm system that's going to be developing off the California coast this week. That's going to bring some much needed rainfall to California, into the desert Southwest, where they've been desperately needing some rainfall, and they're going to get it in a big way this week. But out ahead of it, we've got a massive warm up. I know the southeast ridge is going to be active again and going to create 70, if not 80 degrees. I know by Dallas, by Tuesday and Wednesday, you should be pushing well into the 80s, low 80s, if not mid 80s. So, and much of this area is going to be 70 to near 80 degrees. Even Washington, D.C. gets into the 70s by tomorrow on Monday, like high of 72. So a lot of warm air this week, but there are some changes coming by the middle of the month. Now, if we take you through all the way to Friday now, this is actually Friday the 13th, you can see we've got that colder trough digging in from the west, but we also have that northwest flow. Finally, you saw the teleconnections pushing negative by the 13th, and now we're seeing that colder air kind of entrenching into the pattern. But we also have that warmer air down to the south. So all that's going to do is create that clash in temperatures, and that's typically what's needed for severe weather. So we're going to have a potential setup in the middle of the country by Friday the 13th, if not the 14th. But we should be getting a pretty good snowfall outbreak and severe weather outbreak in the middle of the country, looking at North Texas, into Oklahoma, and into parts of Missouri, into Kansas. But like I said, out on the northwest side of that, we can have a major snow event breaking out over the Rockies and eventually going into parts of Kansas. But if we take it out another frame, by Sunday, and this is next Sunday, we see that colder air really start to intrude into the pattern. And now we're looking at, 10 to 15 degrees below normal temperatures as this colder air kind of mixes in with the warmer air. So what does that mean for temperatures? Well, we've got, let me kind of zoom into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, high of, this is basically by now, this is 0Z on Monday, which is 6 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, pretty much the hottest time of the day. And at 54 degrees, that puts you easily 12, probably 12 to 15 degrees below normal. So this is a fairly cool, good cold snap that's going to be pushing south, but it is milder, and like I said, it's not an Arctic origin by any means. But all this is going to basically do is going to elevate the severe weather risk for the central part of the U.S. And if we take it out another frame, by Tuesday, you can kind of see this back and forth action. You see this a lot sometimes in March, where that colder air intrudes in the pattern, but we got that southeast ridge again, and we quickly warm up. And then after that, you can see another cold surge pushing in. So this is basically going to set the stage for what could be starting to be an active pattern after the middle of the month for severe weather and snow to the northwest. So let's kind of walk you through this. This is the latest NOAA outlook, and kind of implies this. Basically, by mid-month, we've got those colder temperatures, well below colder temperatures, starting to filter it in off the northwest flow. But you can see starting to get well above normal into the middle of the part of the country, especially down to the deep south. And it's where that mixing is, where that clash is, right in the heart of the central part of the country. That's where I think the severe weather setup is going to start to take shape. And you can see by the above average rainfall precipitation that we're going to be getting by the middle of the month. And if we even take it out a step further, that clash continues off that northwest flow. You saw the oscillations remaining negative, so that trend continues of those colder air sending pulses down into those warmer surges, mixing, and it's going to create and keep that severe weather risk alive, and really start to set the stage for a predominant area where it's going to zoom in by the middle of the month, by around the 16th time frame for North Texas into the central U.S., getting into the Ohio Valley. And if we kind of zoom into the latest NOAA, and they've actually highlighted an area by the 16th through the 20th where that clash is going to really start to amplify over Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, into Kansas, starting to get to parts of Tennessee and Kentucky and parts of Indiana and Illinois as well. So this area is pretty much going to be under the gun by the middle of the month. So we're going to have to be paying attention to that. And obviously, we've got well above average rainfall coming. You can see some of the above average rainfall coming for off the coast of California, what we talked about in the previous video, and sending welcome rain into New Mexico, into Arizona, into New Mexico, and then also bringing above average precipitation, a good 1 to 2 inches in parts of Texas, and then that bullseye setting up over Oklahoma and the central, and getting into the Ohio Valley with well above average precipitation for that area, but also going to be dealing with that severe outbreak, which I think you're going to be dealing with some damaging winds, hail, even tornadoes with that positive Arctic oscillation. So, but another side of this is going to be the snow outbreak on the north side, where that colder air is going to be entrenching into the pattern. So much of the northwest U.S. is going to be locked into that snowier pattern for over the next 10 days, and kind of a bullseye setting up probably by Friday into Saturday of a big outbreak, potentially for the Rockies, into Kansas and into Nebraska, filtering into Missouri. So we're going to have to be watching this area for a potential major snow event. But more snow going to be filtering in off that northwest flow for Montana and to Idaho and Washington and Nevada and Utah as well. So this area is going to be under the gun. So it's kind of be pretty much a two-pronged approach with snow on the northwest side, and then predominantly a severe weather setup on the southeast side. So I'm looking at a pretty active week ahead. I know this week is going to be spring break for a lot of you folks, so it's not going to be as bad this week, but the following week, I do think it's going to be even more active than what's going to be coming this week. So I appreciate you guys watching, and definitely like this video. And I do plan to go live on this next severe weather setup. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I will be going live and following these storms with you and tracking them at real time, bringing you real time updates. So I appreciate you guys watching, and definitely catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.